This is Liam Hendricks, and you're watching Crosstown Crosstalk on the Barroom Network.
Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
Every summer in Chicago, the sunshine spotlights the city's spectacular skyline. Its luxurious lakeshore, marvelous monuments, and the over 200 neighborhoods in the city. And it also brings to light two of the greatest sports franchises in the world. On the north side, it's the Cubs. On the south side, it's the White Sox. This is Crosstown Crosstalk.
Hello and welcome to another very exciting episode of Crosstown Crosstalk presented by the Barroom Network. My name is Vinnie Parise, and man, am I dead. The Chicago White Sox suck. They don't suck, which is the worst part about it. They're just so average that they ended up coming in second place. You know what? We've all heard it before. Jerry Reinsdorf got his wish. He loves when his teams finish in second place. There's clips of him saying it because that means they come into next year more hungry. It's a better money-making opportunity. It's a better opportunity for him to pay people less. There's nobody that I would rather bring in right now to talk about this stuff. Of course, I'm talking about somebody who has become a friend of mine through the years. I'm talking about Shawn Sierra. Shawn, your Sports Zone network, man, it's been taken off. Before we get into the White Sox, tell everybody about what's going on with you.
Oh, man. Hey, Vinny, thanks. I appreciate it. I appreciate the kind words, man. Appreciate being able to talk White Sox with you, man. You know, I'm a Southsider through and through. You know, grew up on 63rd in California, St. Rita High School. I used to walk. We used to have walkathons to Comiskey Park for fundraisers. So, you know, Sox fan through, and that was Comiskey, of course, not the new place. So my loyalties with his team are deep. You know, my favorite Sox guy is Harold Baines. You know, Harold, and then Ozzie, and then the Big Hurt. I love this team a lot. And you know what? I was just really disappointed in what happened with them this year. You know, in Sports Zone Chicago, I've been very critical of them, and not in a meathead way by any stretch. Because I know we Sox fans can get very meatheadish about our boys. But it's been frustrating, man. It's been frustrating over here talking about them in Sports Zone Chicago. Frustrating listening to my Cub fan friends give me shit about these guys. It's been frustrating, man. It really, really, really has.
Yeah, those Cub fans have nothing to talk about. We'll get into that in a little bit. But before we get really deep dive into it, you got a channel on, was it a Roku? You got a channel for your show? I mean, this network of you that you're building is doing outstanding. Tell some folks about it.
Yeah, guys. So listen, you know, we have 5 live shows throughout the week. Shawn and Maya in the morning is our flagship show. Obviously, it's with me and my co-host Maya Akai. She's been in the industry since about 2010, I want to say. Well respected in the industry, and we just wanted to create a platform for talented people who want to talk Chicago sports. All right, there's just a lot of people on there. There's only, believe it or not, there's only 2 Chicago sports talk radio stations in the city. And we're like, wow, that's unbelievable. And there's just there's a slew of talented people and crews that need to have their work, you know, available to the public. And so that's why we created it. So we started off just on Facebook and YouTube, and then we grew. We have a mobile app. So wherever you get your apps from, you can download Sports Zone Chicago, and they're archived there like they are on YouTube and Facebook. And then we said, let's step it up a notch. And we you know, went into I looked into how to get a Roku channel and how we can get it on there, and we did. And man, it's really it's fun. It's great. It's people are checking it out, are flocking to it. And just like the app, you can watch us live. You can watch us on demand, kind of like a Netflix. You can go back and check out the shows, go back and see them whenever you want. So it's really fun. It's really good. I'm happy with what we're building. We're not done by any stretch, but it's been a lot of work to this point. And you know what? It really hasn't seen. When you sit back and look at it, it's been a lot of work, but in the process of it, you know, the old saying, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And that's how it's been for us over at Sports Zone Chicago. So make sure you download the tile. Sports Zone Chicago on all your Roku TV or Roku devices. You guys know how to do it. You've downloaded HBO Max and Hulu Plus and Hulu and Showtime and Stars, and if not, your kids did. So make sure you have them download Sports Zone Chicago. You see the logo. Oh, you see the logo right here. That logo will pop up. Just download it and put us right smack dab in the middle of Disney Plus, HBO, Netflix, all that other good stuff.
I love it. I'm a huge fan of it. I have it downloaded. It's really cool. I'm a big fan of the shows. So of course, one thing I'm not a big fan of is when the Chicago White Sox come into a season with legitimate expectations that they will at minimum win the American League Central Division, and then you see what happens in the playoffs. The World Series was very much in play in a lot of people's minds, and then by the end of April, it really looked like things were going to be difficult for this team all season long. What do you attribute it all to?
Dude, I only got an hour and a half, bro.
In a nutshell.
All right, that should give us about 45 minutes. Okay, good. Well, there's a lot of things that didn't play, man. It all starts with Tony La Russa. Or I should say with Reinsdorf. Okay, Reinsdorf hiring of Tony La Russa. There's no disrespect to Tony La Russa. It's just his time has passed. Okay, everything has a shelf life. It doesn't matter if you're playing, coaching, managing, whatever. Everything has a shelf life, and his shelf life is done. And there's a lot of things that are going on with this. There's an old saying in coaching is that either you're coaching it or you're allowing it. Okay, and that's what's happening with the White Sox. They're allowed to do a whole bunch of just unfundamentally sound things. All right, you're not going deep in counts. All right, you got guys trying to hit 5-run homers with one man on base. All right, you're not hitting the cutoff man. All right, you're not focused. There's so many different things, and it starts at the top. It starts with Tony. All right, if Tony, and every time they talk to Tony and he say something, he's like, oh well, he was good effort. He was trustling, and we'll take that effort. Like, no, he needs to call people out. All right, he needs to call people out. He needs to hold people accountable, and tell them that for all the money that all these stars of this core are making, they should not be playing like this. They are far too talented. They are one of the most talented, if not the most talented team in the American League. And for them to be playing at this level, hovering around 500 all year, is embarrassing. And I can't even get mad at my Cub fan friends for talking shit, because they have every right. Because right now our White Sox are doing what Tony La Russa lets them do, and that's whatever they want. I've always felt. I started thinking this last year. I felt they were more worried, one, about individual awards, two, and they were happy that they got the bag. Okay, that the strategy that Rick Hahn employed by signing TA, Yo-Yo, Lou Bob, Eloy, all those guys to long-term deals before they were proven, it looked good in theory. Okay, and they're hoping that they say, okay, well, you know what? At the end of the contract, they want to be underpaid, but at the beginning of the contract, they're overpaid. Well, I think they just started resting on their laurels and happy that they got the bag, because I don't see focus, I don't see determination, I don't see fight in this team. And as a player, I know Tony's got to hold them accountable, but as a player, you would think you'd want to be the best player you could be. You would think you want to be the best teammate you could be. And I just don't see it with the White Sox team. And it sucks to say that, because I've loved this team for damn near 50 years of my life, and I'm 51.
Absolutely. And you touched on focus, effort, all those sorts of things. Last night to me, and Shawn, you and I have talked about this player a lot. He was fresh the first ever time I came on Shawn and Maya in the morning all those years ago. I think it was 2019, The first time I came on. And I'm talking about Yoan Moncada. And this dude, I think we agree on the fact that he's the second most talented player in the Chicago White Sox organization.
Arguably,
the only person I would put ahead of him, like full stop, is Luis Robert, who we'll get to later too. I'm watching this game last night. Moncada hit a home run. And congrats to you, former number 1 overall prospect, on your 11th home run of the season. Wonderful for you. Great job. He was terrible defensively, and that's supposed to be his bread and butter. He just looked lazy. There was a routine ground ball that he just did not. He took his sweet old time throwing to first base, and the runner ended up being safe. Why? Because the Cleveland Guardians put every ounce of effort into every little thing that they do, and that's why they're going to be the 2021 American League Central Division champions. And sometimes when I watch Yoan Moncada play baseball, it makes me so angry, because you see the tools. I'm not going to get mad at him if a guy like Savale, who's a really good pitcher, buries a slider in a 3-2 count and he swings and misses. That happens. That happens to the best players in the league. It'll happen to Trout. It'll happen to Ohtani. It'll happen to Judge. But when Moncada, if you're the one thing that you will do well at, and it's the one saving grace that keeps you in a lineup, is playing defensive third base at a high level. And you go out there and put that craptacular performance in a game that you end up getting killed. It just makes me so angry. How do you feel about this guy going forward?
Dude, I love you on Moncada, and I'm really disappointed at what he's put out in the field the last couple of years. I told you this. There are two people I love watching run first to third, and one's Mike Trout, and the other one's Yoan Moncada. All right, they're just big guys, solid guys who can move. All right, they remind me of football players. Trout, linebacker, yo-yo, like a running back. All right, and it hurts me, to be honest about this guy, because this guy, you mentioned that him or Lubov are the most talented, players on this team, and the effort and the production they've given is just subpar. The old saying, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, and that's the issue. I really would love. This is why Tony's got to go. This is literally, why Tony's got to go. This is why we need to bring in a guy who doesn't give a shit, a guy who doesn't give a shit how much you get paid, who you think you are, but a guy who's fundamentally sound and loves the process. All right, people talk about it like Yoan doesn't love the process. Eloy doesn't love the process. Lubov, TA, like they don't love the process. They want the results, but that's not the way it works. You got to love the process. You have to understand in certain situations, if you got to get a guy over, then your job is to hit the ball to the right side of the field. They hit a pop up, and they're not doing that. They're not going deep in counts. They're going, they're aggressive early. If I've seen plenty of times where a guy 4 pitches and you're swinging at the first pitch. Let the dude throw a strike before you start swinging. All these little things add up, and I know I use a lot of coaching metaphors, but hell, I've been coaching for 17 years. And, when you take care of all the little things, there are no big things. And that's what the White Sox don't do. They don't take care of the little things. They don't take care of the details. And that's the issue. I just feel that they're very selfish. They're more happy with silver slugger awards, with gold gloves, with MVPs, with batting titles, with all this other stuff. And they're not really focused and maniacal about hosting that World Series trophy. Because if you were, you'd be doing a lot better stuff. I don't understand why Yo-Yo, TA, Lubov, why they don't bunt more. I don't know why they don't steal bases more when they get on. There's just so many different. You saw Cleveland. Cleveland does it. Cleveland is nowhere near as talented as us on paper. None. But you know what? They play hard. You saw Jose Ramirez a couple of nights ago beat out a double play, a deep ground ball into the hole. I mean, why? And this is their power hitter. This is their big bopper, and he's running down the field like his hair's on fire. Why? Because he cares. Why? Because it's the little things. Why? Because he wants to win. And our team don't have that. We don't have that Kobe, that Mamba mentality, that MJ mentality, that Magic. We don't have that. And to me, that's very, very frustrating with an overly talented team. Because if this team had that talent, that drive, that mentality, dude, we'd be up by 10, 12 games right now. Easily.
I'm watching the game at my parents' house last night, and Jose Ramirez comes up to bat, and I look at my dad, and I hate this mother. He makes me so angry because and that is the ultimate compliment. I'm getting red thinking about freaking Jose Ramirez. This guy is so freaking good, and he's good at everything. He's an elite defender. He runs hard. He hits bombs. He hits the gaps when he needs to. I think Luis Robert is capable of doing stuff like that, but the difference is you see him dog it down to first base a lot of the time, and Jose Ramirez is running for his life as if he's going to get shot if he doesn't touch first base before the ball gets there. And like you said, Cleveland is just so much less talented on paper than the White Sox are. They make $130 million less as a collective payroll. That's incredible to me that this team is going to be the division champion over a team like the White Sox, over a team like Minnesota, hell, even over a team like Detroit, who had the best offseason in the division, in my opinion, at the time. He makes me so angry. So, does Luis Robert, what is up with him? What's going on? Why can't he get to that level anymore?
Because he's not being held accountable. Bottom line, nothing more, nothing less. All right, I don't give a damn what athletes want to be coached hard. Okay, and even the modern athlete, it doesn't matter when you coach them hard. They may have an issue with it, and they may push back initially, but they know damn well it's in their best interest. Plus, let's be honest, where they come from. How many people in Cuba are trying to get out? How many people in Cuba are trying to use baseball as a way to get out, or the Dominican Republic? They're coached hard. They're used to competition. It's not like you're just the best and they're gonna you're a cakewalk. It's a money game down there. There's camps, there's combines down there where the guys are getting paid tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars per player. All right. So if you don't think they're being coached hard down in the Dominican Republic and Cuba and things like that, you're nuts. So he needs that type of supervision. All right. I'm telling my favorite coach, I think the guy who's perfect for this job is a guy who'll never get it, and that's Ozzie. I think Ozzie would be a perfect one. I think Bochy be another one. Maybe Sandy Alomar could be a good guy for this, but you need guys to get in their face. I like Ozzie because, one, he's fluent in Spanish. There's nothing going to be lost in translation. Two, he's a World Series champion manager, so there's anything he says you have to listen to. And three, I just think his personality is so big, all right? And Ozzie just doesn't give a damn. And Ozzie will get in your face and tell you what you're doing wrong because Ozzie knows what it's like to win a World Series. Ozzie's managed a World Series. He's coached a World Series champion with the Marlins. This guy's been there twice. All right, he's played around Hall of Famers. He understands the people who are great and what they do every day. And when you see someone like Yo-Yo not putting in the work, you see someone like Lou Bob, that'll piss him off, and that'll get Ozzie, on him. Again, it's not going to happen. There's just too much. He wants too much control, and the front office doesn't want to give it. There may still be some bad blood back in there. But we need a guy. We need somebody in there who's going to hold these guys accountable. We need somebody in there who's going to, hey, you know what? Every once in a while, call him to the carpet in the media. Why was he bent? Well, why was he not playing? Well, he got benched. I didn't like the way he ran to first base, or he was dogging it, and so he's going to sit down for a day or two and think about it. It's just things like that to put people on Front Street. Accountability is everything in sports, Vinny. It's everything, and right now the White Sox don't have it.
One of the things that have gone well for this team, for the most part, has been the starting pitching. I've enjoyed most of the starting pitching. The White Sox, they're kind of right behind Cleveland in terms of a team that they lately have been pumping out good pitcher after good pitcher. They develop pitching well. It's a recipe that they have in the organization that works in a lot of ways, and nobody exemplified that better this season than the ace Dylan Cease. He's going to be in the conversation for the Cy Young Award when the voting comes to a close at the end of the season. What have you made of Dylan so far this season?
First tag, hashtag, thank you, Northside team. I think Dylan Cease is awesome. He's learned how to. We've seen the stuff, dude. The stuff was wrapped around one bad inning. All right, for the previous years, he gave up a crooked number, 2, 3, 4, 5 runs in an inning, and then he locks you down. And he had to get that inning out. Okay, how do we get this lockdown performance, 5, 6 innings of lockdown baseball, shutout baseball, 1-run baseball, but not allowing that big run? Well, he's done his homework. He's started attacking guys more often. He's not waiting back. He's eliminated the big inning for the most part, and that's why he's in the conversation. Dylan Cease is one of the best pitchers in baseball. I love his stash. His dude is a stud. And, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He is our ace.
And somebody who has exemplified similar talent, in my opinion, but he kind of seems like he's a year and a half behind, and he's got less starts under his belt, is Michael Kopech. And I still, to this day, have never seen a player in their early 20s have a fastball that moves quite the same as Michael Kopech. I think if coached right, if healthy, if everything, he can be one of those $250, $300 million pitchers. I know that's crazy. It sounds unbelievable, but that's how I feel about his talent. And if he could get it all together, I remember the game against the New York Yankees earlier in the season. He almost he was thinking about no-hitting them. And that's a lineup with Judge and Stanton 100% healthy at the time. LeMahieu, Anthony Rizzo, Josh Donaldson, who even though he's an a-hole, he's elite hitter a lot of the time. Like this is a Yankee team that's great, and Michael Kopech shut them down. Do you agree with me on my assessment of them, or should I pull it back a little bit? I think this dude's off the charts.
No, the pitch is great, but it's about accountability again. All right, you need to challenge these guys. All right, just because he has a good outing, okay, you need to say, okay, that was a good outing. What can you do better? Okay, the great ones, the superstars, the Hall of Famers, yeah, they know they're talented, right? What they're focused on are their flaws. How can I get this better? Okay, I had 3 walks. I need to get it down to 2 walks or 1 walk or no walks in a game. Okay, I had 100 and some pitches. I need to be a little more effective. I need to be a little more enticing, with my pitches and get more ground balls. These are the little things. But what I tell you, I'm gonna keep going back to it. You take care of little things. There are no big things. These are the things that they got to tweak. I think Dylan Cease is phenomenal. I think Michael Kopech is phenomenal. I think Johnny Cueto has been a godsend. Okay, but those first two that you talked about, Win Wright and Kopech's had to deal with a lot. All right, he had his girlfriend. He had the Tommy John surgery. All right, that messed him up a little bit. Then he had the girlfriend situation, and then she left him. And actually, I think they were married, and she left him, and they're divorced, and now he's a father without, and that's a lot. And people don't realize how much personal, I don't want to say baggage, but personal occurrences, events in your life can help or harm your on-field performance. So once it seems like he's getting, that's kind of past, everything's settled down, and once he's ready, I think next year should be a really, really should be a breakout year for Michael Kopech, and we'll have two freaking studs. Not to mention the fact that we're welcoming back Garrett Crochet, but that's another story. But I think those two guys next year should really, really be at the place 1 and 2 in the top of the order.
Yeah, and so Lance Lynn, outside of yesterday, when his team really didn't give him much support on defense or offense, he has had a pretty good second half of the season after the injury and starting off the season a little bit slow coming back from it. But I have all the faith in the world in Lance Lynn going forward. You mentioned Johnny Cueto. He's been sensational this season. I'm not sure he's going to be back next year just because of the nature of, contract negotiations and how things go in baseball and sports in general. Garrett Crochet coming back next year. He's already told people he's looking to be a starter. He's been preparing for a starter's mentality. There are some people that think he'll end up back in the bullpen. But if that all happens and there's not too many spots left, where do you fit Lucas Giolito into all this stuff? Because, man, he was so good in 2019, 2020, and a lot of 2021. Outside of the first month of the season last year, he was great too. And so are we just going to give up on the guy after one brutal season? But the problem is the brutal season was brutal. You couldn't even trust him at all in this Guardian series. They made changes so he wouldn't pitch in it. So where are you at on Lucas?
Lucas would be my 5. All right, he'll be my 5, and he may be a rotating 5. You know what? The problem that I have and the critique I have of him is that he's just mentally fragile, and that's the bottom line. You cannot be a phenomenal. You cannot be a great pitcher, a Hall of Fame pitcher, a generational pitcher if you're soft between the ears, and that's what he is. If you ever watch him, whenever he gives up a hit or if he gives up a home run, he strings a couple hits together, or gives up a home run, you see the way he snatches at the ball when the catcher throws it back. He's very fidgety on the mound. His body language tells everything, and teams know that they got him rattled. And that's the thing. You have to stay unflappable, and he's not. All right, they brought in Ethan Katz, his pitching coach, since he was, high school, grammar school, preschool, who knows, that we thought he'd have a good handle on him, and he did for a while, but it seems like even Ethan Katz can't keep him focused, all right, when things go bad. And I hate to break it to him, but everybody's gotten rocked. All right, Nolan Ryan has gotten rocked. Roger Clemens has gotten rocked. Randy Johnson has gotten rocked. All these guys have gotten rocked and have, had, just shit performances where they've given up a couple of homers. It happens. All right, you have to forget about, like a DB in football. You have to forget about the last pitch and focus on the next one. Lucas has a problem doing that. And the longer he has a problem doing that, the longer I keep him at number 5. And if he continues that, if we can get another young pitcher who's very promising, with a better disposition, they're going to rotate, and that pitcher will probably end up taking his spot. And then, then all of a sudden now you got to play Lucas to use him as trade bait, because I really wouldn't. I can't trust him. Bottom line, I can't trust him, because you don't know if you're going to go get out, if you're going to get a no-hit Lucas Giolito that day, or if you're going to give up, 6, 8, 10 runs Lucas that day. You just don't know. You have no idea. And that's why you can't afford that every 5th day. So my confidence in Lucas is shaken big time. I don't think he'll be with the team much longer, either via trade or maybe it's just straight DFA'd. I don't know. But Lucas has done himself no favors. He needs to really see professional help about just understanding that you're going to get hit, but you are a great pitcher. You have phenomenal stuff, right? But let's go. Those guys get paid in the box too. They get paid a lot of money as well, okay? And you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. And if he can stay get to even keel, then it'll be better for him and for the White Sox. But until then, I don't see him with this team much longer, more than another season, maybe season and a half, maybe the deadline of 24.
Did this team's bullpen make you angry as it did me this season? Because you look at it, Got a lot of arm talent. Kendall Graveman. The Seattle Mariners were pissed when they traded him to the Houston Astros last year. And then he came to Guaranteed Rate Field and dominated us. And then with the Astros in the playoffs. And then, of course, Joe Kelly, World Series champion with Boston, World Series champion with Los Angeles. He likes to make funny faces at Carlos Correa. He's a gamer. He's this, he's that. Liam Hendricks, he's been on this show. He's a friend of the program. He's an outstanding human. He has had a really good all-star level year. There's lots of talent there. And yet I'm seeing Jimmy Lambert, who to his credit has had a nice little comeback year. He's a starter by trade. He joins the bullpen this year. It's not easy without Kopech being in the bullpen this year. Reynaldo Lopez, same thing. It just seems like it was just mismanaged, misused. And the guys who are making the most money were not used in the big money moments.
Yeah, at this point, you can't worry about that. The whose salary you have to play who's the hot hand, and Cairo mismanaged that. Game one, he took account for it, and it was his fault. You don't bring Jimmy Lambert in, right? You bring in Ray Lopez. Ray Lopez has earned a spot. What Ray Lopez did for his career this year, he got himself a good 6 to 8 more years in Major League Baseball somewhere. If it's not with the White Sox, he was just lights out, an innings eater for guys, and I think why he put Jimmy Lambert in, I have no idea. All right, Raylo has been a beacon of light for this bullpen most of the season, and then the other guys, as you mentioned, they've been very inconsistent. All right, Kelly, the first time he came out, the way his ball was moving, I was like, holy shit, dude, this guy is going to be a force for this bullpen, and he never lived up to it. He was hurt, and then you got some of the other guys, Graveman, you talked about Diekman. Diekman, the first time I saw him after we got him, like, okay, this guy got some nasty stuff, and then just like Kelly, it didn't continue. So it was very inconsistent. Graveman as well. It was frustrating. As strong as the bullpen was, when we needed them in the big moments, is when they let us down, and that's what really sucked. Like if you come in, you close out Detroit, okay, fine. If you close out Baltimore or somebody, not Baltimore. Baltimore's actually good. Like Toronto. No, Toronto's good. Give me just a horrible team. You close them out. Okay, that's great. But they're giving you all this money not to worry about the Detroits, not to worry about the Angels. All right, you're worried about the Indians. You're worried about the Twins. You're worried about the Yankees. You're worried about the Red Sox. You're worried about Houston. Those are the ones those are the teams that you need to shut down, which is why they gave you all that big money, and we weren't able to do it. Houston owns us, just like Green. That I'm not even going to talk about the dude up north who owns the Bears, but Houston owns us. We just can't seem to get it around Houston. Had a good showing with the Yankees, but I wouldn't want to face them right now in a series. I wouldn't want with our guys. So the bullpen has been it's just kind of across the board, Vinny. A lot of people just let everyone down. This was a horrible, horrible year. And again, I feel because that they weren't held accountable. They weren't called to the carpet. They weren't put on Front Street. They weren't, I don't want to say embarrassed. They just weren't held accountable. Bottom line.
Eloy Jimenez has had an outstanding season in the second half. He has numbers compared to Aaron Judge and some of the best hitters in baseball in the second half of the season. The problem is the reason those numbers are in the second half of the season is because he was hurt for a majority of the first half of the season after missing 99 games in 2021. I think absolutely nobody on this team is untradeable. I would trade the Bat Boy if it would help improve the team. Literally nobody should be untradeable. However, I think a return for Eloy should be substantial if you move him. What are your thoughts?
First and foremost, I need to see the strength and conditioning coach. I know they got a new one. Who was the old one? His son just plays for, what's his name?
Yeah,
I forgot.
Know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he just came. He went to my rival high school, so I couldn't stand him. But anyway, I need to see what they're doing as far as warming up. I also need to see what their diet consists of. All right, because you get your young kids with millions of dollars. They're probably eating hot Cheetos and Takis and shit like that. All right, and that's not good for you because there's far too many soft tissue injuries with Eloy, with Lubob. All right, that's got to stop. Even with Yo-Yo, okay, that has to stop. You have to train if you want to be a multi-million-dollar athlete. You have to train. You have to and diet like one. Okay, and it's because if he can stay healthy, if Eloy stays healthy for a whole year, holy shit, dude, what numbers can this guy put up? All right, but that's the thing. If he can stay healthy. So you got to get him healthy. And if you do, his numbers, I mean, if those guys could stay healthy and we get a manager that holds them accountable. And as much as we used to make fun of Ricky Renteria and some of his decisions were juvenile and crazy. All right. But he had those guys running through a wall for him. He had those guys enjoying baseball. He had those guys having fun. We had fun watching them have fun. Okay. He held them accountable. All right. And this is what we need. I need a guy, if these guys are healthy, just think of Eloy, Lubob, and Yo-Yo. Okay. Those guys would be in the MVP race every single year. They would probably cancel each other out because everyone wouldn't want to vote for the guys on the same team. That's how talented those guys are. Eloy is, he plays the game with a youthful exuberance. The only issue that I have with him is his training, his stretching, his flexibility. Man, if he took care of that, Lord have mercy. We figured out he can DH. When he poo-pooed the idea a while ago, I can't play well. And guess what? You play well. You hit pretty damn well, just sitting there for every half hour, 45 minutes at a time before you bat again. So, I like Eloy. I really think he's definitely someone you stay with moving forward. And you just got to make sure that they're flexible. If he plays 140 plus games a year, holy shit, watch out, man. We're looking at literally 30 to 40 home runs a year.
Yeah, he could be a game breaker with his bat. And like you touched on, I'm happy because I used to be team don't let Eloy DH. You risk it in the outfield because if he hits like that in the outfield, it's not worth getting rid of that bat to have him DH and be terrible. But he proved me wrong. He's not terrible as a DH. He's actually a very good DH. It's like pinch hitting 3 times a game. So I understand why it's different than playing in the field as opposed to just sitting on the bench the entire game, except for when you hit. But he went out there and did it. And that kind of creates a new problem for me. The White Sox have had corner infielders playing the outfield every single day. Shawn, that would be like having you host a podcast about how to cook, delicious bread or something like that. That's just not your forte. You know how to host a podcast. He knows how to play baseball, Andrew Vaughn or Gavin Sheets or any of these guys, Eloy Jimenez. They know how to play baseball, but they don't know how to play the outfield. You don't know how to host a podcast about breaking bread. You know how to host a podcast about sports. So not saying you can't host a podcast about breaking bread. I'm sure you'd be great at it. But I just don't understand how they can do this game after game after game.
So what they need to do is sports is a copycat league. All right, or copycat leagues. All right, and what they need to do is this is Rick Hahn falls smack dab in the lap of Rick Hahn because this is not a Tony La Russa issue, so he's got control over this issue. You got to look at moving Gavin Sheets. All right, look exactly what Cleveland did. All right, they had Franmil Reyes over there, big power bat. All right, ask the Northsiders, they're happy as a pig and slop to have that dude over there, but he didn't fit that system. Like you don't have a lot of big boppers except for maybe Josh Naylor, and he's a guy who hustles his ass off as well. All right, they wanted power guys, but they wanted guys who hit the ball through all over the park, all right, and run. So he didn't fit the mold, so they got rid of him. They couldn't trade him, so they just DFA'd him. All right, I think you can get something for Gavin Sheets, and I think you need to go get a legitimate, solid right fielder, a guy who can hit, who can run, a prospect or not. But you have to build a team. But first, you actually even have to you got to find an identity. Are you going to be built on power? All right, then you need to look at the hitting coach. All right, because why was the power outage so severe here on the South Side? Why? All right, this is the first year except for the COVID year. Jose's not going to get 30 and 100. Okay, no one was hitting home runs this year. No one, and you know what? At Sox Park. That's a launching pad in the summer, and the lack of home runs was kind of not even alarming. It was like very suspicious. Like, okay, something's going on here, and so with that, like I said, I think you may want to look at moving Gavin Sheets to get a legit left or right fielder, and then but that brings another problem. What do you do with Andrew Vaughn? Okay, well, what you do with Andrew Vaughn determines what you do with Jose Abreu. So there's a lot of dominoes, a lot of moving parts in here. And, first and foremost, I would get rid of Gavin Sheets, trying to get a legit corner outfielder, because you got Lou Bob in one. Okay. Put a legit corner outfielder in another. And we'll take AJ Pollock for another year or so out there. We'll be okay until we can find another, guy who can hit. Or I'm even okay with AJ Pollock, truth be told, because AJ Pollock is a guy who can knock the ball all over the park. Now, out of it, just, every so often, but in the park. And that's what we need. We need guys on base. We need get them on, get them over, get them in. Sounds simple, but it's just, for some reason, it hasn't been for our good guys.
Absolutely. So in 2004, the White Sox made a big move after having an extremely disappointing season. The Minnesota Twins clinched the division at the time U.S. Cellular Field and celebrated their division title in front of our fans. They went out and made a huge move. They traded Carlos Lee, who was a fan favorite. Everybody loved him. They traded him for Scott Podsednik. People are like, what are you doing?
How's this Scott guy? What
you trade for Scott Podsednik? You mean the skinny guy from Milwaukee that steals bases and hits the ball softly on the ground into the outfield and ended up having 0 home runs in the regular?
What are we, the 90? What are we, the 80s St. Louis Cardinals?
Yeah,
that we're going for?
Exactly. And he ended up having 0 home runs in the regular season of 2005. And then he hit a home run late in a game against Boston. And then he hit a walk-off home run in the playoffs against the Houston Astros in the World Series. Is there a big, bold move about to happen from the Chicago White Sox? And I'm not talking about trading Gavin Sheets, Sean. I'm talking about trading Yoan or trading TA or trading, I'm not going to say, I'll say anyone, Luis Robert, Michael Kopech, something to get this team on a different level.
No, I think they're gonna stand pat with it. I think people are gonna. I don't think they want to stray from the core yet. I think after next year, if they don't make the playoffs, I think then we're gonna see some Acme fireworks going on the field and not outside the stadium. So I think they're gonna stick with one more, but they're gonna make some more moves. All right, and the fringe move would be, like I said, a Gavin Sheets. It might be an Andrew Vaughn, which I really don't want. I don't want him moved. But if you can get a guy who fits in that clubhouse, who, good corner outfielder, that's going to pay big dividends. And then you let these guys run. All right, let these guys run, dude. Let these guys. You're only 24, 25, 26, 27 once. All right, you have the ability. That's a weapon. That's shooting yourself in the foot. That's not firing your pistol. That's not going out with all guns a-blazing. How can you continue to not allow these guys who are speed burners, all right, I'm talking TA, Yo-Yo, and Lubob in particular, not allow them to run, all right? But why? Because you're worried about the soft tissue injuries. Dude, everything is so intertwined. It's not. You couldn't script this better, or should I say worse, for the White Sox, how intertwined everything is.
I couldn't agree more, Sean, and that about puts a bow on the White Sox. I do want to ask you, I know you're well invested in Chicago sports in general. There are a couple other teams in town I want to touch on before we let you go. I've been covering the Cubs all season long on this show and for Fansided, so we got to give them a little bit of love on the show, even though we don't really actually want to deep down inside. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
What have you made of their season as a whole? There are people claiming that they might even have a brighter future than the White Sox at this point. They have lots of prospects. Peter Crow Armstrong, who they got for Javier Baez, has lit the world on fire. People thought they weren't getting top 100 prospect last summer. Well, you did. In fact, you got a top 30 prospect. He's amazing. What we've seen from Nico Horner, Ian Happ, we'll see what happens with Wilson Contreras in the offseason. What have you made of the 2022 Chicago Cubs?
David Ross is one hell of a freaking manager. That's what I made. All right, because you got guys who are playing for nothing. You got guys a whole bunch of prospects. You got a whole bunch of some veterans who realize it's, we're talking Happ, we're talking Contreras, we're talking Jay Hay for a little while. And all these guys, they realize this is going to be a shit team. It was going to be a rebuild. And guess what? Yeah, they're still 20 games under 500, but they're competitive. All right, they're exciting to watch. All right, they might lose, okay, but in the event that you shoot yourself in the foot, that you don't handle or play fundamentally sound, they'll stay in the game. All right. So wait till Rossi gets some talent. Wait till some of the talent that's up there now, the youngsters, I guess technically not prospect, but some of the youngsters that are now mature. Okay, that culture's already been set by Rossi. All right, you're playing 27 outs. Okay. And, yes, again, they're not talented right now. They're getting beat by a lot more talented teams who have more invested and are fighting for playoff position or for a playoff spot period. So they're getting beat. But the way they compete, the way that they approach the game, the way that they play baseball the right way. All right. And this was a culture setting year for the Northsiders. And what sucks, dude, what really, really sucks is I would hate to see this team be better than my White Sox next year with a hell of a lot less talent.
Yeah, I would say it's certainly possible. And the only way I think that wouldn't happen is if the White Sox get back to where they were last year and have a healthy Luis Robert, Yohan Moncada, Eloy all season long, maybe make one big trade or one small trade that helps improve the team just a little bit. I think the White Sox have a distinct pitching advantage.
Yes,
And the Cubs to me, and I'd like your thoughts on this, even during the Theo Epstein era, weren't very good at developing pitching. They won a World Series in an era where they weren't great at developing pitching. They traded for Jake Arrieta and kind of got lucky that he turned into a star. Not lucky, but he didn't develop with them. He was already in the MLB. They signed John Lester, who was going to the Hall of Fame with or without the Cubs 2016 World Series. John Lackey, great pitcher in his career, ended up being a number 5 because of other guys accelerating. Kyle Hendricks was with the Texas Rangers. They traded Dylan Cease. They get rid of these pitchers that are in their prospect system, or they turn into be busts. Is that tide turning at this point?
It seems like they're trying to develop more pitchers because Theo's mantra was develop the position players and we'll go by the pitching. All right, and right now it seems as Jed's philosophy was a little different. Jed's trying to build through the organization. He's getting prospects. He's getting youngsters, young pitchers, that is, and having them come through the system and having them develop, a lot different than the way Theo did it. So, they have a shot, and the best part about it is you see what you got, you get as many pitchers as you can. I mean, because Jesus, how many pitchers did they draft this year? So you do that and you see, okay, you throw everything in the wall. What sticks? Okay, so say we get 2 good pitchers, maybe 2.5. Now you only got to go get 1 ace. All right, you got 1 ace. You got 2 good pitchers in the half. Dude, you got 3 good starters you're comfortable with. You can go into a playoff series with 3 starters. Okay, and it's just a little different way that the Cubs are developing and bringing up their players than they did before. And will it work? That's to be determined. But we'll find out in 2025, 2026.
Absolutely. How did you feel about the way the Chicago Cubs handled the trade deadline? So they traded Efros to the Yankees, and Efros made a couple appearances with them and then was out with injury. They just activated him today. I don't know if you saw that. New York did. And, I'm sure he'll be a nice piece for them going into the playoffs. He signed for a little bit, 28 years old. But the player the Cubs got back, I'm drawing a blank on his name at this moment, but he came in and relieved Wade Miley a couple times. And, Miley would go 4, and then this kid would go 5, and they won the game. And they didn't trade Wilson Contreras. They didn't trade Ian Happ. Now, they got Ian Happ for next year if they want to. They could go through this whole thing again. But Wilson Contreras is free to sign with any team as of, November 1st or whenever the World Series is over. What are your thoughts on how they handled the trade deadline? And then I promise I won't make you talk about the Cubs again in a positive manner.
Thank you. That I appreciate. Is it Hayden Wesneski you're talking about? The Yankees number 7 prospect?
Yes.
I was surprised. I really was. I was really, really surprised that they didn't move Contreras. They didn't move Happ. I was really surprised. And the thing about it is he can walk away. He's an unrestricted free agent, and you might just lose him. If that's the case, that goes to show you how bad they really wanted to get rid of him, that they'll just let him walk away. Because it's not like there weren't. And that's the thing. It's not like there weren't teams who were willing to trade for Wilson, to trade for Ian Happ. There were rumors for, I think it was in Minnesota or one of the teams in the AL Central,
and the Houston Astros too. They gave up nice things for Christian Vasquez, who's a nice player, but he's certainly not Wilson Contreras.
So why they kept him, that boggles my mind, Vinny. I have no idea how that didn't go down. I really don't. So you know what, they that may have, I would love to ask Jed what he was thinking, and what they came out with some bullshit like, oh well, we tried to move him or whatever. Like, nah, dude. If you wanted to move him, you would have. There are more than enough rumors out there that teams wanted him. One of those had to be true. So I have no idea what their thought process was by any stretch, dude.
Yeah, I agree. There's no doubt, in my opinion, that both Chicago teams botched the trade deadline one way or the other. But one team I know you enjoy talking about is the Chicago Bears. And we talk a little football on my hockey and baseball podcast. We're no stranger to that over here. So I'm curious to know, they won the game in the monsoon. San Francisco lost 100 yards on penalty minutes. Everybody was ready to crown the Bears after one win. And listen, nobody loves overreaction Monday more than me, but they got humbled against the Green Bay Packers. And now people are saying, well, it's just the Packers. They're going to go out and kill Houston, which they very well might, but Houston's one of the 4 teams worse than you on paper. So, let's hold back on these expectations this year. In my opinion, they don't have enough talent, but I'd like to know where your thoughts are on the Chicago Bears and specifically Justin Fields.
Oh yeah, they don't have enough talent, but they have talent. Here's the deal: when they play correctly, okay, when they play smart, part of the hits principles, the sum is much greater than the parts, much greater than the parts. All right, Green Bay early on Sunday night, at night, you're the only game on the docket, the rivalry, the history. The offensive coordinator used to be the OC over there. There was just a lot. I think sphincters tightened with a lot of those guys, truth be told. Maybe even with Luke Getsy. You're not going to play Aaron Rodgers every week, Sunday night at his place. Okay, you're not. He was going to do that to a couple of teams. You can look at whatever you want to look at and to create your own narrative. All right. Yeah, Justin Fields had a bad game. Yeah, they're not going downfield. Okay. Yeah, Justin Fields is slow making reads. But then you also got to, if you want to just do that and be a doom and gloom guy, then you're only giving half the narrative, because you've seen Justin Fields make some good throws. You've seen Justin Fields be a stud athlete. Justin Fields is a winner. Okay. And there's something about winners. There's nothing tangible you can touch and say, all right, a winner is a winner. All right. He's won in high school. He's won in college. All right. And not at the Division 2 or 3 or 4 level or 5 or JUCO. We're talking at Ohio State. All right. This guy's a winner. Get him some talent around him. All right. Let him get settled in his offense. Dude, this is his 3rd offense in 3 years. Come on, man. All right. When you first started podcasting, were you as good as you are now? No, you had to learn the ropes. All right. We all did. Whenever we start something new, it's different. And let's not forget, Justin Fields is the only one who has to learn the new offense. Everybody has to learn the new offense. All right. You're asking dumb linemen, who are stereotypically dumber than the rest of the guys. They have to learn a new offense. They got to man counts, wide receivers, running backs, same thing. You got to ask them to get comfortable in this new system. They got to get comfortable running behind linemen. Linemen have to get comfortable or get familiar with how the running backs run, the different ones, because now we have 2 good ones. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. And as much we've been blessed with a schedule that's pretty easy to this point. Yeah, Green Bay was tough. Okay, that's not a problem. We caught San Fran in the midst of if Jimmy G quarterbacks that game, we lost. Hands down. Not even a question. Okay, but we caught him at the right time. The monsoon helps. We snuck a victory out there. Now we got the Texans. This is a team that we should be able to handle. Then we got the Giants, and the Giants are 2-0, but that's a team we should be able to handle. We should come out of the first quarter of the season with a 3-1 record. I don't know about you, but everyone was talking about Bear possibly starting 0-4. All right, that was a lot of talk about people who don't know shit about football. Okay, but the way that they're playing. But listen, the more that this goes along, the more the Bears get ugly wins. Guess what? The more chemistry they're getting. The more familiarity they're getting with each other, the more this defense shells, the more this offense shells, the better Justin Fields get. So the longer you keep having shitty wins and ugly wins, and wait till next week, and they got lucky, and you keep talking, people keep talking all that shit. The longer they keep doing that, guess what? It's not going to be talking shit anymore. It's like actually the Bears are going to be starting to get pretty good. All right, the defense is really going to settle down and be a shutdown defense. This offense is going to be able to score a few more points than they've been scoring. All right, we're going to get Velus Jones back. Hopefully the next week or two. I don't know about Sunday, but the next week or two. You're getting N'Keal Harry back in a couple of weeks. All right, he's their deep threat. Their jump ball guy. Go get it. All right. Once you have everybody there, all right, just like the White Sox. They didn't have everybody there all year. How many games? 10, 15 games they had all year where everyone's healthy? All right. Once they get back, the Bears have a lot of different guys on offense with different skill sets that you can use differently. All right, I'm waiting for those crossing routes that we've seen Green Bay exploit the Bears with for the last I don't know when did Favre start playing there? 90s. Okay,
Yep.
those same things. Okay, I'm waiting for those routes. I'm waiting for Velus Jones to get open. I'm waiting for Darnell Mooney. All right, we don't have a full complement of players, and so yeah, it's going to take that in addition to it's new for everybody. It's going to take a while. All right, I'm not putting him in the Super Bowl. I'm not putting him in the NFC Championship game. I might not even be putting him in the playoffs. All right, but I'm telling you, this team is going to get better. All right, they're going to get better. They're going to get better. They're going to get better, and they're going to see a lot more games than they should. They should win technically due to their talent. Okay, and we'll see. They may flirt with a playoff spot. Okay, but trust me, the biggest thing is if you cut down on the mistakes of Justin Fields and his fundamentals and mechanics, and he gets better sooner, then watch out because this dude is a winner.
I like what you say about Justin Fields with winning and comparing him to certain other players across the league. In my opinion, when they first started, talking about Justin Fields as an NFL quarterback when he was at Ohio State, the natural comparisons were guys like Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray and stuff. Guys who can use their legs and in addition to making big plays aren't necessarily the biggest stature guys in the world. But what I'm really seeing a little bit from Justin Fields is a guy who just will try to figure out what he has to do to win, and he could use his legs, he could use his arms. The guys that come to my and also got a little bit of hate early in his career so far for the way he's played. I think of Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles and Tua Tagovailoa of the Miami Dolphins. Those are two guys who went to Alabama. They were coached by Nick Saban, and they've taken a little bit, but now who's talking? They're a combined 4-0. Can Justin Fields?
Josh Allen. They wanted Josh. They're trying to run Josh Allen out of Buffalo.
Absolutely. And Josh Allen's the same way. I think he probably has the highest ceiling of every guy that I named there, Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
But Justin Fields, there's no reason to think he's not right there with those guys.
No, Vinny, I agree, and it's part of the process, man. It's if you thought that they're going to have a new offense, everything was going to click perfectly. If any of you guys thought that, you guys were mistaken. All right, you guys were just mistaken. It is what it is. You know what I mean? You just can't. Offenses don't work that way, dude. They don't. The Kurt Warner story that's an anomaly, dude. Okay, it's an anomaly. It takes a minute. It takes these out, but once they do, and here's what they're doing is what I love. All right, they're getting a system. Okay, they're getting a system. So when Velus Jones gets hurt, or if he gets hurt, guess what? They can put Treston Ebner in there, or they can put a guy that they drafted from a FCS school, or a guy who undrafted free agent. Why? Because he fits that system. He's good at what they do. How many Julian Edelmans, Wes Welkers, Amendolas did you see with the Patriots? Those weren't world beaters, all right, but they seem to be pretty damn productive with the Patriots. Why? Because what the Pats did, they had a system offensively and defensively. If you fit their, and they only go after guys that fit their system. They don't care if you're the top quarterback, top wide receiver, unless you're Randy Moss, and then that's a whole other story. But they go after guys who are going to fit their system. They're going to go after guys. It doesn't matter what college they went to, what level it was, how much money they made before. If you can do and you have that skill set for this specific position, then they're going to go after you and they're going to hold you accountable. And that's what this organization is doing now. They had a lot to clean up. All right, people forget they had a lot to clean up from the previous regime. All right, what 2/3 of the team is new now. All right, they're trying to put their stamp on it. They're trying to get their culture set. They're trying to get their philosophy inbred in these guys, and it's going to take time. All right, and the sooner you keep winning, if you have Justin Fields continue to win, even if it's sloppy, guess what? Those wins equate to confidence. All right, and then the culture that they're talking about, you're going to start to believe it more than they already believe it. So I like what they're doing. It's going to take a minute. All right, but don't be surprised if the Bears come out 3-1 after the first 4 games, and later in the season, or as the season progresses, all of a sudden they're at 7 wins, 8 wins, 9 wins. Like, how the hell did that happen? Because they're not going to shoot themselves in the foot. They're going to take advantage. They're going to cause turnovers. All right, and then once they get in N'Keal Harry back and they have their jump ball guy, 6'4" with a 37-inch vert, who did exactly that in college. Well, guess what? Now you're cooking with gas. Now you have a recipe for success.
I couldn't agree more. That's very fair. I appreciate the analysis. Before I have you promote yourself on your way out, I'm going to put you on the spot really quickly, just right off the hook. Is Buffalo too strong to win the Super Bowl? You got a different pick, or to not win the Super Bowl? You got a different pick for them. And is Georgia too strong to win the NCAA College Football National Championship? Those are the chalk picks your picks, or you got something else in mind?
I think Buffalo gets there. They're strong. Buffalo's real strong. I don't know. I don't know if they might be. The Rams, they seem disoriented right now, but it's only 2 weeks. It's a tough call. They could turn that shit around. Aaron Donald could be, Hulk again and, just blow quadruple teams up like he's done in the past. Buffalo, I think, definitely is coming out of the unless you get a key injury. Because Baltimore's tough defensively. I'm just looking at teams who might be able to hope who have stud defenses who might be able to stop them. I'm thinking Baltimore, maybe. Baltimore might be. That would probably be it. Maybe Pittsburgh, but I don't know what's the quarterback situation over there. How much longer is Mitch there before Kenny Pickett goes in? Then you got the learning curve with the rookie. So yeah, I guess I got to say Buffalo coming out of the AFC. I don't know about winning the Super Bowl, but I see Buffalo coming out of the East. And Georgia, dude, anything can happen, dude. In college, that's what's so awesome, man. That's what's so awesome. Georgia's tough. They got it's tough. You might get another week as an Ole Miss team or someone, they just overlook them, and next thing you know, they lose 24-21 and a missed field goal or something. I don't know. Like college football very rarely stays the same. There's so many. There've already been so many upsets, and there's a hell of a lot more coming. So it's I don't know about Georgia staying there number one through and running the table. I don't think so.
Yeah, it's definitely really hard to do. Shawn, I can't thank you enough for coming on our show. Before you head out, let everybody know what's going on with you and what you got coming up in terms of programming or any other sort of content that they could find on the interwebs.
Yeah, so make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, on Facebook, YouTube, and on Instagram. We are at Sports Zone Chicago. On Twitter, we are Sports Zone Chi, CHI. Make sure you download our mobile apps, so wherever you get your apps from. All right, download Sports Zone Chicago. Take us with you on the go. And make sure you download us on our Roku, on your Roku device. We have our own Roku channel. The best thing I could tell you is on Mondays we have Eric Kramer, former Chicago Bears quarterback, who comes on every Monday for Eric Kramer's QB View. We talk about the Bears game the day before, so you're going to want to listen to that. He's very blunt, very honest in his assessment, especially that of Justin Fields, seeing that he was a quarterback and he holds a single season record for passing yards for the Bears still since 94, 95. So that you're going to want to check that out. Make sure you do. You check that out along with the other shows on a platform that you could check out on our Roku channel. Like I said, it's just like Netflix. You go on there and you'll have the different shows. It'll be What's Up Cuz, it'll be Shawn and Maya, it'll be Second City Sports, it'll be Smoke Fellas. So you check out whatever show you want to watch, whatever group, show, and then whatever episode you want to check out as well. So you can check us out anywhere on the online. There's more than enough ways to stay in touch with Sports Zone Chicago.
I'm so grateful for your time. I can't thank you enough for coming on.
Man, no problem, dude. You said 30 minutes. I was like, dude, I got an hour and 25 minutes. We can go. we got time, man.
The conversation went. The conversation went.
I love the fact that we were able to talk multiple sports because, football obviously is my strength, but baseball is close behind. Basketball is close behind. Hockey, I'm still working on that. But, yeah, I love it. I love being able to talk multiple sports in one sitting. So I appreciate it, man. Good stuff.
Absolutely. I can't thank you enough for coming on. And everybody, make sure you follow at the Shawn Sierra on twitter.com, and you can go there and find all of his work with Sports Zone Chicago. And before we get to the rest of the show, we are going to send you to a quick commercial break. Thank you, Shawn.
Hey, Vinny, no problem, buddy. Anytime.
Zim, Joe, Vinnie, and Gonzo. Join these White Sox fanatics every Monday night for the South Burbs Hitmen. You're going to be treated to great guests, top analysis, smart debates. South Burbs Hitmen with Zim, Joe, Vinnie, and Gonzo. Only on the Barroom Network.
Welcome back to Crosstown Crosstalk, presented by the Barroom Network. My name is Vinnie Parise. I cannot thank Shawn Sierra enough for coming on our show. I love talking sports with him. Like he said, the original plan was a half hour. Then he told me he had a little more time than that. And when the conversation goes, the conversation goes. As Lisa points out, it was good talk. There's no doubt about it. Before I end the show, I just want to have another 5 to 10 minutes talking Chicago baseball before we get out of here and begin what is promising to be a cold, crisp, fun weekend filled with great baseball division races. Hey, just because the Chicago White Sox and Chicago Cubs suck ass doesn't mean you can't watch the rest of the outstanding action going on in Major League Baseball. The New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves are going to have a dogfight to the finish in the American League East. Is Aaron Judge going to hit a home run tonight to tie Roger Maris' single season American League record of 61 home runs? Does Albert Pujols have 2 more bombs in him to get it up to 700 in his career? All of this stuff is going to be outstanding to watch over the next 2 weeks worth of games. I'm excited about it. The Chicago Cubs, we will put a bow on their season. We never really needed to have a eulogy for the Chicago Cubs at any point this season because they were dead before the season started by design. I'm not even ripping on them by saying that. It was by design. They're rebuilding. They're trying to get this thing off and running. They weren't as effective at the trade deadline as I thought they were going to be, but that conversation will come at a different time. The Chicago Whites. Oh, I'll give a little bit of a nod to my friend Cole Franklin, friend of the program. He's been on. He's coming on again soon. We have been chatting lately. He and his South Bend Cubs of the High A Baseball League are the champions of their league. They won a ring last night. That is outstanding. I'm very happy for Cole and all his Chicago Cubs High A teammates. And we'll see which of those guys are able to eventually play for the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field one day. That will certainly be exciting. I can't wait to have Shawn back on, and we will go over what is up next for him as he starts his career again on his way up the Chicago Cubs totem pole and hopefully into the MLB one day. I think that's a major league debut that I have to be at no matter what. Like, that's just my guy in the Cubs organization. I don't have many guys. I'm a White Sox fan through and through. I root for them. But Cole Franklin's my guy. I hope he succeeds very, very much. The Chicago White Sox are dead, and I am not happy about it. This team came into the season with World Series expectations. They were supposed to win the World fucking Series. And they go out there and put out that dog pile of a season? Are you shitting me? You got killed by Cleveland in a game that you just had to win. You had to win, and you go out and lose 8-2? Are you kidding me? That's a joke. This team sucks. Yeah, they're going to be over 500. Who the H cares? That don't mean you're good. That don't mean you're a complete embarrassment to an entire city after what was supposed to be an outstanding season. Let me tell you this. Jerry Reinsdorf, you need to get the H out of here. It's time for you to sell the team. I think he's going to. This is the year. And when a new owner comes in, I want him to own. Okay? Look back at what happened in 2022 and say, how can I make this a winning franchise? Who the H made it where Yoan Moncada gets $25 million next year? I want him gone. Okay, whose fault is it that there are 2 first basemen playing right field and left field every single day? I want him gone. Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert have been out for a combined 200-something man games over the last 2 seasons. Who the H is the athletic trainer on this team? I want him gone. Luis Garcia played how many games last season? He was in the starting lineup how many times? Who's in charge of that? I want him gone. That is a complete joke. This team sucks. You had a chance to make it to the playoffs for the 3rd straight season for the first time in franchise history, and you blew it. I just cannot believe that this team had the audacity to, after being kind of in a competitive game on Tuesday night against the Cleveland Guardians, and then you lose it in extra innings, to go out there and play with that dog shit effort on Wednesday night. You got Yoan Moncada lollygagging, taking his sweet time throwing the ball to first base, and the runner ended up being safe. I just cannot believe that that is the effort that this team goes out there, and they go out there and they walk up to home plate looking like they're a bunch of badasses. You're getting killed 8-2. You have no chance. This Cleveland Guardian team collectively makes $130 million less than you. Do you know how much $130 million is? Do you know what Cleveland could buy for $130 million extra to their roster? Let's say they just F around and spend that $130 million difference this offseason, and they bring in someone like Aaron Judge. Okay, you bring in someone like Aaron Judge, all of a sudden you have only $100 million left. You could bring in superstars to be on this team that works hard and plays well, and they got Steven Kwan and Jose Ramirez and an outstanding pitching staff with Bieber and McKenzie and Quantrill. I just don't understand how that team can, with so little, do so much more than you. That, as a Chicago White Sox fan, hurts, and it hurts a lot. This team blows. Yasmani Grandal, you're the highest paid player in the history of the Chicago White Sox. Excuse me, I almost choked on my embarrassment for this team. Yasmani Grandal, with his 60-something weighted runs created plus 100 is major league average. Okay, what an embarrassing team. The approach to this team. What was Tony La Russa and Frank Menechino doing all season long? It was clear that when Tony La Russa left, the team started to play with a little bit more vibrancy, and it looked like they actually wanted to be there for the most part until it was obvious that they're done and they put out that dog shit performance on Wednesday night. I just can't believe that this is what the season has come to for the Chicago White Sox. I had such high hopes for them, and they've probably hurt me more than any team that I've been a fan of in my entire life of being a fan of sports teams. I've seen some of my sports teams have success. I know what success feels like as a sports fan. I know what failure feels like. I remember when the White Sox won the World Series in 2005 very vividly, and how happy it made me. Okay, the New Jersey Devils went to the Stanley Cup final in 2012. They lost in the Stanley Cup final, but I know what it was like to watch them win big games with big-time players and on big-time stages. Okay, the Chicago Bears made it to the Super Bowl in 2006 and have pretty much been a dog pile ever since, but at least we had that 1 year where I knew what it felt like to watch the Bears play in a huge game. They made it to the NFC Championship in 2010 too, and then Jay Cutler decided to ride a bike instead of play football. But, you know, for the most part, I know what it's like to be on both sides, and I think because of that, this Chicago White Sox dog pile makes me more mad than I have ever been at a sports team. I hate this team. I don't hate the White Sox. That's not what I hate. The 2022 White Sox. I never in a million years would have thought that there would be a team that I hate more than the 2016 White Sox. You know, when Chris Sale was cutting up jerseys and Adam LaRoche was bringing his asshole kid into the locker room and wondering why everyone thought that was weird. And Adam Eaton was a dickhead to everyone and no one liked Todd Frazier, and Hawk Harrelson's leaving the booth in the middle of the game. I never thought I would hate a team more than that asshole team. They were assholes. This 2022 team sucks in every way. I heard a clip from the Cleveland Guardians radio broadcast yesterday, and they're talking about how people in Chicago don't even like this team. Ding, ding, ding. Spot on. They don't hustle. They don't look like they want to be there. They look lackadaisical. They hit the ball on the ground. Nobody tries to hit it in the air. Don't tell me launch angle isn't a thing. The 2022 White Sox proved that all launch angle haters are full of crap. Because if you don't hit the ball in the air and out of the park and split gaps and have a high OPS, you have no chance of winning. The White Sox are going to lead the MLB in hitting. And they got nothing to show for it because they can't drive in runs. You need power to drive in runs. Look at all the top power teams. It'll look like a recap of the standings. Okay? This team is a joke. This is the end for them. They are on life support. Their tragic number in the division is 8. Their tragic number in the wild card race is 9. And I can't wait till they reach that number. I don't even want them to make the playoffs at this point. Not a single person outside of Dylan Cease, Johnny Cueto, and Elvis Andrus deserves to play in the playoffs this year. I hope there's big changes. They need to make a big move. I know Sean said that he thinks like a Gavin Cheats is like the biggest move. Trade Yohan Moncada if anyone will take him for a bag of baseballs. Make noise in the league. Make people realize you are a serious team. I thought that's what was happening when they cut Dallas Keuchel. You know, I thought that's what was happening when they signed Yasmani Grandal. Okay, it's not Yasmani Grandal's fault that he's the highest paid player in team history. It's really not. You know, if someone offered you $75 million to do something, you would do it. Okay, and he was great for the first 2 years of his contract. He sucked this year. We'll see how he is next year because we sure as hell know he's going to be on the team next year. Rick Hahn, you traded for Jake Diekman. That was your one big trade deadline acquisition, and he's the one who eliminated you by having a dog shit 5-run 11th inning on Tuesday night. I'm done with this team. The Chicago White Sox are dead. There will still be put on your Sox videos every single day until the season's over. And then throughout the offseason, whenever something big happens, I'm not done with the White Sox as a whole. I'll be here every step of the way until I take my last breath. But I promise you the 2022 season is dead. Enjoy the games while you watch them. Root for Eloy Jimenez to hit home runs. Root for Dylan Cease to win the Cy Young. By all means, do it. But in terms of wins and losses, it does not matter anymore. You're 6 games out of the division. You're technically 7 games out of the division because Cleveland has the tiebreaker. And if you tie with them, there's no game 162. The wild card all of a sudden is more appealing than the division. And that's still out of the question because the 3 wild card teams are for sure going to be the Rays, the Jays, and the Mariners. So don't even come to me about the wild card. There's no chance. It's done. There will be no playoff baseball in Chicago, and that's a joke. Crosstown Crosstalk is worse for it. And although it really sucks, at the end of the day, I'm very happy that we have plenty of people watching the programs and seeing what's going on with Chicago sports. I'm never going to stop doing it. Even if that vein pops up in the middle of my head again, I'm still going to do it. And, on South Burbs Hitman on Monday, we're going to break it down even more. And I'm certainly not going to be happy about it then because they'll probably have gotten swept by the Detroit Tigers this weekend up to that point, too, because they suck. And they're a poorly managed team. They're a poorly general managed team. They're a poorly owned team. And it's really, really starting to piss me off. So at the end of the day, football season is here. Hockey season's coming up. Make sure you tune in to all the shows talking about that. And as always, thank you for listening.
Another happy landing.